The Federal Communications Commission has issued a warning telling Americans to turn off Bluetooth when they are not actively using it. That advisory has been out for a while, and most people have done exactly what most people do with government safety advisories. They ignored it. This video is about why you should not have. Not because the FCC issues warnings for dramatic effect. Not because Bluetooth is inherently dangerous technology, but because in 2025, security researchers at KU Leuven University in Belgium discovered and documented a specific vulnerability in a feature built into hundreds of millions of Bluetooth devices that allows an attacker within 50 feet of you to silently connect to your headphones, earbuds, or speakers without your phone showing any notification, any prompt, or any indication that anything unusual is happening. And in every successful attack the researchers tested, the attacker gained access to the device's microphone. The vulnerability has a formal designation, CVE 2025-36911. Researchers gave it a name, Whisper Pair. The name is accurate. The pairing happens in a whisper. You do not hear it, you do not see it. And by the time you know it happened, someone may have been listening to you for hours. Let me explain exactly how this works, which devices are vulnerable, and what you need to do about it. What Fast Pair is, and why it exists. To understand Whisper Pair, you need to understand the feature it exploits. Bluetooth pairing has traditionally been a somewhat cumbersome process. You put the device in pairing mode, search for it on your phone, tap the device name, confirm a code, or accept a prompt, and the connection is established. For technical users, this is fine. For everyone else, it is a friction point that makes wireless audio accessories feel more complicated than they should. Fast Pair is Google's solution to this friction. It is a feature built into Android and supported by a large number of Bluetooth device manufacturers that allows a Bluetooth accessory to be paired to an Android phone with a single tap. When a Fast Pair compatible device is nearby and in pairing mode, a notification card appears on your phone's screen identifying the device and offering to connect. You tap once and the pairing is complete. The user experience is excellent. The convenience is real. The feature does what it was designed to do: remove the friction from Bluetooth pairing. Fast Pair uses a combination of Bluetooth low-energy advertisement packets and Google's cloud infrastructure to make this one-tap experience possible. The accessory broadcasts a model identifier. Google's servers recognize the model, retrieve the device information and branding, and present the pairing card to nearby Android users. The problem that KU Leuven researchers found is in how the authentication of this pairing process works, or more precisely, how it fails to work in the implementations deployed by many manufacturers. The Whisper Pair vulnerability. In a properly secured Fast Pair implementation, the pairing process should require verification. That the device requesting connection is genuinely a device that you have indicated you want to pair with. Your consent should be required, and the process should include cryptographic checks that prevent a malicious device from impersonating a legitimate one. What the researchers found is that many manufacturers implementing Fast Pair failed to enforce the software checks that would catch a forced pairing attempt. The authentication that should verify the legitimacy of the connection request was either absent or implemented in a way that could be bypassed. The result is what they call a forced pairing hijack. An attacker running software on a cheap piece of hardware, a Raspberry Pi costing approximately $50, is what researchers used in their demonstrations, can broadcast a spoofed Fast Pair advertisement packet that mimics a legitimate Bluetooth accessory. Because the software checks that should validate this advertisement are missing or bypassable in vulnerable devices. The pairing proceeds. Critically, it proceeds silently. The vulnerability allows the pairing to complete without triggering the notification that would normally appear on your phone. Your phone receives the connection, but does not present a prompt, asking whether you want to accept it. There is no pop-up, no notification, no indication on your screen that anything is happening. Within the range of ordinary Bluetooth, approximately 50 feet in typical indoor environments, an attacker can execute this attack against any vulnerable device that has Bluetooth enabled. This is what makes Whisper Pair fundamentally different from older Bluetooth attacks. Older attacks like bluebugging required specialized equipment, often cost thousands of dollars, and produced visible side effects on the victim's device that made the attack somewhat detectable. Whisper Pair requires $50 of consumer electronics, produces no visible indication on the victim's device, and works against devices from multiple major manufacturers simultaneously because the vulnerability is systemic rather than brand-specific. What the attacker gets? The researchers were not only documenting the existence of the vulnerability, they tested what access a successful Whisper Pair attack actually provides to an attacker. In every successful hijack test, the attacker gained access to the device's microphone. This is not a theoretical capability. This is what the researchers measured in their tests of the actual attack. When a forced pairing hijack of a Bluetooth audio device succeeds, the attacker receives audio from that device's microphone. Consider what this means in practice. Your Bluetooth earbuds, sitting in your ears in a coffee shop or an airport or an office, have a microphone that is within a few centimeters of your mouth. You are wearing them because they cancel noise and make calls or play audio. They are listening to everything around you, so their noise cancellation algorithm can work. An attacker within 50 feet who has executed a whisper pair attack can hear everything those microphones are picking up. Your phone calls, your conversations, the content of your meetings, anything spoken near the earbuds while they are in your ears. The location tracking capability compounds this. Fast Pair is integrated with Google's Find My Device network, now called Find Hub, which uses the Bluetooth signals from nearby Android phones to track the location of Find. My Device network participants. Under normal circumstances, this is used to help you find lost devices. When an attacker has hijacked your Bluetooth device through Whisper Pair, they can exploit this network integration to track your location. The location data is not approximate. It is updated as different phones in the Find Hub network detect your device, which in populated areas can happen continuously. The researchers found that this tracking could persist for hours or even months, providing the attacker with a detailed record of your movements over extended periods. Which devices are vulnerable? The scope of the vulnerability is significant because it reflects a failure in how multiple manufacturers implemented Fast Pair support, not a problem in a single device or a single company's products. Researchers identified vulnerable devices from Sony, Jabra, JBL, Marshall, Xiaomi, Nothing, OnePlus, Soundcore, Logitech, and Google. These are not obscure brands. These are the manufacturers whose products are on the shelves of major electronics retailers, in the ears of commuters on every urban transit system, connected to phones in offices and homes and public spaces around the world. Specific models the researchers identified as vulnerable include the Sony WH-1000X M6, currently one of the most popular premium noise-canceling headphones in the market, the Soundcore Liberty 4NC, the Jabra Elite 8. The common thread across all of these is not a specific hardware flaw. It is a software implementation failure in how Fast Pair authentication was handled. The hardware is fine. The Bluetooth chip is fine. The vulnerability exists in the software layer that was supposed to validate pairing requests before allowing them to complete. This is important because it means the vulnerability can be fixed without replacing the hardware. A firmware update that implements proper authentication checks resolves the issue in the software where the vulnerability exists. The challenge is getting that firmware update to the device. Why standard updates are not enough. Most people update the software on their phones when notifications appear. Some update their computers. Very few update the firmware on their Bluetooth accessories, partly because they do not know it is possible and partly because the update mechanism is not as obvious as a phone software update. Firmware updates for Bluetooth accessories do not come through your phone's operating system update process. They do not come through the Google Play Store for most devices. They come through the brand-specific companion application that most Bluetooth accessories ask you to download when you first set them up. The Sony Headphones Connect app for Sony devices, the Jabra Sound Plus app for Jabra devices, the JBL Headphones app for JBL devices. These companion applications are how these manufacturers distribute firmware updates to their devices. If you have a vulnerable device and you do not have the companion app installed, or if you installed it once to set up the headphones and then deleted it, you are not receiving firmware updates that may address the Whisper Pair vulnerability. The practical action is specific. Find the companion application for your Bluetooth device in the Google Play Store. Install it or open it if you already have it. Connect your device and check whether a firmware update is available. Install any available update. Manufacturers, including Sony and Jabra, have been releasing firmware updates that address the Whisper Pair vulnerability. But those updates are only reaching devices whose owners have the companion app installed and actively check for updates. If you own any of the devices mentioned by the researchers, or if you own Fast Pair compatible Bluetooth audio accessories from any of the brands listed, installing the companion app and checking for updates is not optional right now. It is the primary defense against this specific vulnerability. The unwanted tracking alert. You should not dismiss. Android and iOS both include features designed to alert users when an unrecognized Bluetooth tracking device is following them. These features were implemented in response to concerns about misuse of devices like AirTags for stalking. When your phone detects a Bluetooth device moving with you that is not associated with your account, it generates an unwanted tracking alert. The researchers discovered a specific tactic being used in the context of Whisper Pair exploitation, where the tracking alert appears to reference your own device rather than a stranger's device. Because you recognize the device name as something you own, the instinct is to dismiss the alert as a false alarm. Do not dismiss it. If an unwanted tracking alert appears that seems to be referencing your own Bluetooth device, This may indicate that a whisper pair attack has been executed against your device and that the attacker is now tracking your location through the hijacked connection. The alert appearing under your device's name is a known, characteristic of how the attack manifests in the Android tracking detection system. When you receive an unwanted tracking alert that seems to reference your own device, the appropriate response is to turn off Bluetooth immediately on your phone, run the firmware update process for that device through its companion app, and if the alert recurs, contact the device manufacturer's security support. Practical security. Steps. Starting now, the FCC advisory to turn off Bluetooth when not actively using it is the most reliable general protection against whisper pair and against Bluetooth vulnerabilities broadly. When Bluetooth is off, the attack surface is zero. There is nothing for an attacker within 50 feet to connect to. This is straightforward to implement as a habit. When you finish using your Bluetooth headphones on a commute and put them in your bag, turn off Bluetooth on your phone. When you are at your desk using wired headphones or the phone's speaker for a call, Bluetooth does not need to be enabled. When you are in a crowded public space where you are not actively using a Bluetooth device, turn it off. The inconvenience of toggling Bluetooth on when you need it is genuinely small compared to the exposure created by running Bluetooth continuously in environments where attackers might be present. Beyond turning off Bluetooth when not in use, pairing new devices in crowded public spaces is a risk worth avoiding. Airports, busy coffee shops, and conference venues are exactly the environments where an attacker with a Raspberry Pi running whisper pair tools would get the highest return on their effort. If you need to pair a new device, doing it at home or in a controlled environment removes the risk that the pairing process is being exploited by someone nearby. The firmware update process through companion apps, as described above, is the technical fix for the specific vulnerability. The Bluetooth off habit is the behavioral fix that provides protection regardless of whether a technical fix has been applied. Whisper pair is different from the Bluetooth security threats that have been discussed in previous years. It is not noisy. It does not require expensive equipment. It does not target one brand or one type of device. It exploits a convenience feature that is built into the standard way that hundreds of millions of Bluetooth audio devices are designed to pair, and it exploits it silently. The FCC warning to turn off Bluetooth when not in use was not issued for abstract reasons. It was issued because the attack surface that always-on Bluetooth creates is real, documented, and now specifically exploitable through a vulnerability that researchers have demonstrated works on devices from 10 major manufacturers with a $50 piece of consumer hardware. The Sony WH-1000XM6 sitting on your head in the airport. The Jabra Elite 8 in your ears during a meeting. The JBL earbuds your teenager is wearing at school. All potentially vulnerable to a silent, forced pairing that provides an attacker with microphone access and location tracking capability without any visible indication on any screen. Install the companion app. Check for firmware updates. Turn off Bluetooth when you are not using it. Do not dismiss unwanted tracking alerts that seem to reference your own device. These are not complicated steps. They are the steps that close a door that a vulnerability has left open. Close it.